Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, the Potown store is the place to go. You can even find a 5% discount on your order if you use the code OmniPoke. Going into today's video, we're going to be looking at Turtonator as a sort of turbo kind of fire variant. Essentially, we've taken the shell of Blounds and the shell of sort of the turbo fire welder decks, and we've kind of mashed them together to see if we can make a nice explosive non-GX attacking deck kind of work. We're going to be using just the 4 copies of Welder, Pokégears, and Pal Pad to try and reuse that so we can get multiple explosive jets going throughout the game. We have that Heatran-GX to try and swoop in, steal a bunch of energies, and go for a big hot burn GX in here as well. And we're going to try and use the Ultra Conversion to be our sort of pseudo-draw engine to help us dig deeper, try and find these welders. That's the whole concept here. So I think this is definitely kind of on the rogue side. Blacephalon's kind of like the more standard version of this deck, I guess you could say. We are kind of even more welder reliant than ever with this sort of build, but we have the uptrade potential of being a non-GX taking down big 3 prizes. That's the big sort of upside of this build, and we're going to try and make the most out of that. So let's jump into the archetype in a bit more detail, starting with our main attacker. It's going to be Turtonator with that explosive jet attack. You do 50 times the amount of fire energy that you discard from any of your Pokemon in play. So we're going to try and do this off of his own 3 energy requirement. So we're basically doing a minimum of 150 if we choose to. And then we're going to have, hopefully, a bunch of charge up Naganadels in the back, helping us do even more damage. So that's the whole reason we're going to go around this kind of card. It's basically very similar to Blacephalon GX in terms of the damage output. It's the same multiplier, so we're trying to do the same thing. The only sort of upside of this build is that instead of lost-zoning those energies, they stay straight back in the discard pile for you to charge up immediately all over again. So we don't need to have quite as many kind of discard synergy cards as Blacephalon necessarily has to, because naturally Explosive Jet will be throwing these fires back into the bin. We do have things like Fire Crystal to reload them back to the hand so we can weld them a few more times, but this is basically our version of Blacephalon, and he's on a non-GX, which is pretty nice. From that, Heatran-GX is going to be our sort of backup attacker. Because we have such terrible Pokemon recovery, I think it's really good that we do have this one GX Pokemon in here, because we'll run out of Turtonators anyway, and I really don't think that Brock's Grit is going to be a good card in this deck, so we may as well try and take advantage of this GX because it has such great synergy with the deck. You may have played this with Blacephalon, and you often see him come in, do Steaming Stomps, and do Hot Burn GXs, and that's pretty much his role here as well. We can steal all those energies that we charge up from our Naganadels around the board, and we can also weld onto him, of course, and do big knockouts. Steaming Stomp being good enough to knock out non-GXs, of course, which can be pretty handy. But Hot Burn is another big one-hit KO option, which is awesome. So Heatran's a nice card to take advantage of in this deck. We're going to play a couple copies of Dedenne-GX. Dedenne changing is still important for this deck. Obviously, Welder's like the lifeblood, so we want to try and make the most out of that. We don't play Cherish Ball in here, so we don't have amazing odds of using this card, but it's still like a nice one to have in the deck just to try and get ourselves going, which is always really good. We of course have the Pokécoms to try and work off of that, as well as like raw Acro Bike and just finding him in general, to give us a bit more push potential. I think it is important. We are predominantly non-GX, but we are going to have the draw engine of Ultra Conversion anyway, so having Dedennes on the board just kind of makes sense to me to help us like race and go faster. We then have a 4-4-2 line of Nag, even with a Ditto, so it's like a 5-4-2 line split of Naganadel. I really like the very thick line of Naga here. Charging up is obviously very important for us, so that we can get acceleration for our Turtonator to be able to reach one-hit KOs. Oftentimes you want 2 or 3 of these in play. Turning Point being another attacking option if we really need to. Can be pretty nice against non-GXs, or things that are psychic weak, so something to bear in mind. And we do have 2 Dragon Naganadels. Ultra Converting, allowing us to dig deeper into the deck, is obviously a big deal because we're not necessarily that consistent with only 4 supporters in here. So that's always pretty nice for us. I'm currently not playing any Psychic Energy, and that's because we're not playing Beast Ring, so it's not really the same as Blacephalon that could really burst this guy out of nowhere. Obviously we have Welder, which could try and do it, but oftentimes we need to throw all the energies that we attach straight into the discard pile, so I don't think we need it in that attacking regard. I'm literally just having it in here to Ultra Convert us throughout the game. Just to dig towards more welders, basically, is the whole concept here. So kind of using this Naga package to sort of overtake the Jirachi package that you see most like Turbo Fire decks play is a little bit risky because it's obviously slower in a stage 1 form, but it does help us definitely throughout the late game make sure that we keep hitting welders to really max out our damage turn by turn. We also play one copy of Mew. We are predominantly non-GX based, and I think when you are a non-GX deck, it's important for you to have that Mew so that Pika-ROMs can't sort of cheat the prize race and jump over and take out multiple turtles, or a Naga and a turtle. It will be pretty backbreaking if that's the case. So having Mew to defend against that is pretty nice, and also pretty good against things like Mewtwo that will otherwise try and Naga snipe things like Dedenne and stuff. So also something good that we can have. Quite searchable as well, the treasures of course, so that's always pretty good. For trainers, we are going to play 2 Acro Bikes, just for digging deeper into the deck. It's as many as I could fit. 4 custom catchers. Gusting isn't like integral because we're trying to naturally uptrade anyway a lot of the time, but it's still really nice to get around spell tag or just make you win in the lowest number of turns possible, because we're always requiring combinations. We require a bunch of fires in hand, we require welders in hand, so making us attack less times is always a pretty good deal. 3 crystals. We are throwing away a bunch of energy all the time, so getting these back to hand so we can weld it immediately is always really nice. And you always want manual attachments as well. 4 treasure, I think it's really integral to get the Naganadel side of the deck going. I'm playing 4 treasure over 3 com because I do like having extra discard synergy for the opening turns of getting fires in the bin, so we can actually use those charging ups as well. I've kind of been in between 3 treasure and 4 and then swapping it with the com. Obviously having extra Dedenne outs is pretty nice, but right now I'm going for the high treasure count because I think it's really, really integral for us to get the Naga pieces going, and of course treasure searches out Turtle as well, who was our main attacker, so very, very nice card in the deck. 1 Pal Pad to reload our welders, 4 Pokégear to find those welders, 3 com to, you know, switcheroo the cards that we need, 2 Giant Hearth. I think it's not integral for us to have more of this card. It's a nice stadium removal. It also does obviously have synergy with our deck. Has discard synergy in the opening turns, gets us more fires for Welder and whatnot. But I don't think you need this to be like a higher count than that. Also, we just naturally have to be quite a tight list. So we can't really make space for any more of this. 1 Heat Factory to dig deeper. Welder is the lifeblood of the deck. It's the lifeblood of many decks in the format right now, to be honest. And we're going to try and abuse it once again in this list. 1 U-Turn Board is our only switching effect. It's a little bit concerning because we do have 3 retreat on Turtonator and Heatran, so you have to keep that in mind. But the 1 U-Turn Board does mean that we can pivot, which is always very nice. We can stick it on Mew, Dedenne, any of our Nagas, and it means that we're not losing an energy to charging up, retreating all the time. We can just free retreat out of the way, which is always really nice. And of course, whenever something gets knocked out with the U-Turn Board, you get it straight back. So it's a little bit cheeky to play no switch cards whatsoever outside of this. And you could even think about playing a second copy of this card, because it is actually pretty important when you don't start Turtonator, because you end up sacrificing an energy sometimes. But I think, again, it's a question of space with the list that we're working with right now. Then we have 12 fires. I think with the crystals, that should be plenty for us to see, attach, welder, do all that usual shenanigans. Fire decks need to have a pretty high count in general. So for cards you could be playing, outside of the ones we are already, is going to be Volcanion. This is definitely one that I've tried to work in a couple times. I remember the last time I played a Turtonator list, I had like 3 of this guy or something like that, at least 2. And Flare Starter gives us extra acceleration, which is always pretty nice, and High Heat Blast helps us out in like other non-GX matchups, just because he is kind of less detrimental than Turtonator. It lets you kind of build up energies for Turtonator swings when you need them, but the High Heat Blast sort of chips in here and there as well, so I could definitely see you trying to work in a couple Volcanions. Outside of that, I wouldn't really think of anything else. Maybe a Reshizard, just because it is like such an insane attacker. You can drop this bomb late and just be like, yeah, I'll just Double Blaze and then Flare Strike to try and close. I don't think it's like mandatory though, especially because we don't play Cherish Balls. It's not all that easy to just get him at the right time. Other cards you could consider, I think the 4th Com is definitely one I'm really hoping to put in. Tate and Liza is actually one I've thought about. I prefer this to just switch, because you can Pal Pad this back and it gives us more switching options. So Tate and Liza was one that I was definitely considering over the Acro Bikes, but right now I just like the dig potential. I want to welder as much as possible, basically. That's the whole idea. Oh yeah, and B-String's one as well. Obviously not as good as it is in Blacephalon, because it can't go into Turtonators, but it is still a burst of 100 damage effectively for us when we are using Explosive Jet, or it just makes the Burning Road that much stronger as well. So you could try and weave in like 1 or 2 B-Strings. I don't think you'd ever want more. That's the kind of issue of only playing a couple copies. It's kind of random when you find it and when you don't. So at the moment I've just said no to it, but it definitely can be a card that you think about adding into the list, because it does give us extra bit of burst potential And at the very least, it means that like if we miss a Welder and can't Explosive Jet, we're probably able to Beast Ring and just swing for 80 into something, which actually isn't all that bad against 3 prizes, because, you know, you're then making yourself Explosive Jet for 2 less energy on future turns, so that little chip damage is usually decent. So yeah, Beast Ring is definitely one that I have tried to toy around with. Let's jump into the ladder though and see how this deck performs. Certainly on the rogue side of things, but it has Welder behind it, and it has 1-hit KO potential, so maybe it's not going to be all that bad. I've tried to go with this deck kind of behind the scenes, just sort of casually for a little bit, and it seems relatively okay. Our hand right now isn't all that strong. Acro Bike looking like it must be our saviour here. I think some of our worst matchups are going to be... okay. We're facing one of our worst matchups. Malamar is certainly a matchup that we don't like to see. So Hooper could also be a consideration card in this deck just for Malamar. Malamar is super scary. Pretty nice Acro Bike. It does get us into Dedenne change, but it's still a scary Acro Bike because we lose out on a Poipole. Fortunately, we do have all of our others in the deck. We have Heatran as well. That's an important card. We are going to be getting rid of one custom, which is a little bit ugly because they can definitely capitalize on spell tags a lot. That's one of the reasons why this matchup is pretty ugly. If they are the spell tag SBDO kind of build, it's going to get pretty rough for us. We do get into a Turtle Hearth Welder, which is pretty sick. Man, we only have 3 Turtonators in the deck as well, so we have to be careful about this, but I think our hand only takes us so far, so I think I still have to sack this. We pretty much have to use Heatran anyway during this game, and we're going to try and make the most out of maybe taking a Turning Point knockout, and maybe even pulling the other one out of prizes as part of our stretch goal. But we need to get this Welder going, that's for sure. We do get another Poipole, which is actually really good. I think I just want to pass here. Don't think I want a Pokécom. I might need this to be Heatran or something like that for next turn. We do have 2 fires already in the discard pile, which is pretty good going for us in terms of charging up for future turns. Yeah, I think we can pass here. I could Pal Pad now and have higher odds of top decking Welder. Top decking Welder is only good if we keep the Hearth. It could be reasonable if they bounce it with Viridian though. How good is a Welder top deck? Yeah, it might be good enough. We need to Welder so often though. There's such a better high roll if I draw for turn, Pokégear, hit, and then Pal Pad after. I think I'll make the decision next turn, based on how good his turn is. Like, if we need to high roll, I'll probably... Like, I mean, we could do the Pal Pad after we just top deck for turn anyway, to have, like, higher odds of the Pokégear. But we might be in high roll mode. We'll see. Okay, they do bounce the stadium. The good news is, against Malamar, we can still access energies even with their counter stadiums. It's only really the power plant that slows us down. They're also able to Lily for a handful of cards. They've got their own Acro Bikes to play here. Maybe that means they're not a custom catcher build. That could be good for us. It's very rare that you get to fit both, and they've gone through 3 bikes already. Pretty explosive Mally turn. We're going to start seeing them treasuring out the Pokemon at this point. They're able to toss a Psychic for a Tina. That might mean there's more treasures to come. Nope, they're just going to manually bench Tina, attach, spell tag him up, and pass it our way. Only 1 Inkay is good for us. Definitely. We pick up a Pokécom. That might have to go into the bin here with a Viridian. We'll play 1, bin 1. I can already knock out this Jirachi, so I think we can do the greedy Pokégear. Let's see. Is our other Dedenne in here? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we can do the greed Pokégear here. And if it fails, we can just Pal Pad Dedenne. The upside of doing the greed gear is we could Welder and then Pal Pad back in. Okay, looks like we've got to go the Dedenne route. I'll admit that that was a pretty greedy play though. You want to get as many welders as possible. Here we go. We aren't able to charge up. We also do hit Welder Crystal, which is pretty nice. I should pay retreat, then charge up, then crystal. Either way, I'm crystalling for 2. Okay, I can crystal for 2. We do get a potential treasure for another nag. I don't hate that at all. It could also be a treasure for the next turtle. Next turtle also sounds good. I could manually attach to the turtle. Oh no, I've already manually attached to this guy, of course. But we're super far ahead on attachments. So I guess I just still grab this. We find the U-Turn Board in a timely fashion, which is good for us, for sure. We might end up using Custom Catcher for draw next turn. But for now, we're able to do an Explosive Jet. We'll still take it off active. Will I? He needs to get Mali, Switch, Energy. It's not that hard. His hand is pretty big. What's the upside of me doing this? It means that if he does like completely brick, we get to just attach and punish really heavily. And it's at the expense of an energy. But we're so far ahead on attachments right now. I think I might just make this play. It's a little greedier for sure. It's more speculative and hopeful. But it puts us in such great shape if it pays off. Second Custom Catcher is an interesting card for sure. Alright, looks like they have the Malamar. There's an Esper. Spell tag. Looks like they're lowering... Oh wow, they didn't put a... I guess a skateboard wouldn't matter. Yeah, okay. They're going to have to Cynthia here. Looks like they weren't holding many of the pieces. Another Inkay. We are going to see a recharge. Did they get there from the Cynthia? Pokémon. Putting back SBDO for a Stellarwish Jirachi. Oh wow, okay. Got away with one there by the looks of things. That's pretty good for us. So that big payoff is pretty awesome. We can evolve. It's a little bit sketchy that we don't have what's it called to fall back on Ultra Conversion. Maybe that was actually wrong to do that evolve. We'll thin the deck of fire. Basically completely. Do I need these customs for draw power? This is always happening. The other thing is these customs could be used to knock out like another Mali next turn, which I think is pretty important for us. So I think we let the spell tag go. And we just do it this way. I imagine he'll try and target the Dedenne-Gs here. Because he has the Esper already in play. Yeah. Okay, he's going to do 2 on each. Okay. That seems reasonable. We are a little bit ahead now, though. That's a good draw off prizes. We definitely got to work towards our crystal. We've got to make the most out of Turning Point over the next 2 turns. We need to Turning Point a Malamar next turn with our customs. Then I'll bench this Ditto, and then Turning Point the Giratina, because we'll be on 3 prizes. So we don't need to Welder, like, immediately, but the sooner the better, you know. we also might have to weave in Heatran at some point. That's always something that we have to bear in mind. Any time is good for Heatran, because he'll be sweeping up energies from these nags. Okay, he's going to Shadow Impact the turtle. He's going to put 40 on the Mally, which is fine. Heat Factory is interesting, but we're actually running out of fire so much. I think it makes us draw less cards. I think we got a gear here. How many crystals have I used? I've played 2. Okay, okay. Okay, we hit Welder, which is pretty good. We'll just use it on the 1. We get more treasures to play with. We can't put down Ditto because of the spell tag. So I guess I'd bin Ditto here. He has no power here, I'm afraid. Working towards this Heatran is definitely a big deal. The deck's pretty thin right now, which is the good news. And we're pretty much set up with Turning Point over the next 2 turns. Is there any reason to kill anything that isn't Malamar here? No, not really. Oh, I could have benched the Ditto because of we're getting around spell tag this turn. Oh, that was bad. We played a treasure for no reason. Alright, let's kill this Malamar. And we'll attack with the one that has less energies, just for Heatran ability. Pokégear doesn't help us too much this time. Got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 2 fires in our prizes. Oh no, 1 fire in our prizes, 1 fire. They're going to still wish for a power plant. And then they concede. Looks like they missed switching card. We're actually further away than they thought, but I guess if they can't attack us for another turn, they are pretty far behind on tempo. Non-GX matchups definitely are the scariest because they're very resource intensive. Like when you're against tag team, you need to remove 6 energy 2 times, basically. Whereas against non-GX decks, you need to remove like 2, then 3, then 2, then 3, and then, you know, it's a lot more energies overall. Elite 4 Pedro. Alright, let's give it a go. Able to overcome Mally is a good sign though, because that's one of the scariest matchups you can face. Yeesh, bit of an ugly hand again. We seem to be saying that a couple times. I did say that this is more on the rogue side of things. You're seeing the potential shakiness. Good news is, again, we play Heatran, so we can weld it to all sorts of things, and it looks correct if you Burning Road later on in the turn or whatever. So that might be one of our priorities here. Our opponent's starting off with Stellar Wish. Whiffing Stellar Wish. Wow. What do they have? What are they playing? So many questions. Okay, they're playing Ability Zard. They're going to Pokémon. Oh, they're playing Mewtwo. They're playing the Mishmash. Zard with Mewtwo and like Magcargo Family Zard. With a hand like that, why would they Stellar Wish before anything else? They should definitely have done all of their other actions first and then Stellar Wished after, right? I don't even know what they were hoping to find off of those. They would have had such better odds as well. They would have been 6 cards deeper, and then 2 fires from the Hearth. Okay. Well, let's not beat around the bush. We're still in trouble here. Heatran's in here, which is the good news. I'm going to Pokégear before the Welder, because we need to hit a Pokemon or we lose, basically. Wrong kind of Pokemon. Okay. Well, I'm alive. It looks like I'm using Heatran to take a tempo prize here. He didn't Welder, so starving him of Stellar Wish is probably a good deal. Some debate to protecting around Hotburn, but again, we're in a spot where we have to hedge, and maybe we make it so he can't find Welder, and then if he can't find Welder, we can try and capitalize on that even more, basically. We're playing Ultimate Greed today. That's the plan. Always greedy, never punished. Dot deck. They're going to get attachment in on Heatran, and they're going to switch into him. It looks like they're going to delay change and hope. They've got to throw away the Pal Pad as well, which is pretty good for us. Looks like they missed. The hedge worked. Pog. Yeah, starving him of Jirachi was good. We played for tempo. It paid off. Whew. Getting a little bit lucky here. Getting the right rub of the green so far. In the first couple games we've had. Doing the best we can off of the hands we've had, though. If only they had sequenced that initial Stellar Wish correctly, we could have got wrecked. First action of the game, a misplay. Classic. Wow, going second with Welder Heatran sounds very good for us. I'll pop this guy down as well. Maybe it disincentivizes a judge. From this as well, he probably thinks he's against Blounds. On the ladder, you actually have the same types as Blounds, because they play Dragon anyway, with Ultra Naga. So people just think we're Blounds the whole time. Also, one cool thing Blounds could do is just try and squeeze in a Turtonator somewhere. I don't know how you do that, but squeezing in a Turtonator sounds cool into regular Blounds. Good card. Good up trade. Basically, most of our spaces have come from cutting beast rings, though. And we have our own disadvantages, of course. Our opponent's got a pretty good start as Mally. And as I said earlier, Mally is a potential scary matchup. We're both non-GXs trading for the majority of the time. Obviously we have elements of GXs and they don't. And obviously they also have spell tags, which we don't. So, bit of a fear factor there. Their turn has been absolutely incredible though. They've been able to get Tina into the discard pile. They've got 3 Inkays effectively down. They've got Stellar Wish in the active. They've got Viridian, so they can guarantee an attachment onto a Tina as well this turn. The dream. We're definitely going to be behind this game, I think. A naturally unfavoured matchup where they go first and more or less hit the nuts spells trouble, I think. Wow. He's going to try and deny Hot Burn. That actually works pretty well for us. We're going to throw some fires into the bin real quick as well. Surprised a good amount of fire, right? 3. There's only 5 left in deck. Wow, crazy. Well, we got a lot of fires to find from prizes, which is good. All 4 turtles are here, all 4 customs are here. Couple of Pokégears, not much else going on for us. Do I want to commit this U-Turn board? I think it's fine. I think that's fine. I'm just a little bit aware that Mali can play Stamp these days, and they can also play Judge. So I'm just trying to think around that. Yeah, I think we just Stomp. We pick up another Naga, which isn't too helpful. Well, they've got a couple Mallies down straight away. There's one Psychic currently in the bin. Fighting Energy, so they're the Tina Chomp build by the looks of things. Which is uncommon, I guess. It's the best way to put it these days. They're going to Stellar Wish though, which tells me they don't have any Psychics in their hand, because otherwise they'd probably... Oh, they could do the Hearth afterwards. Yeah, that's fine. They're going to Pokecom away an Esper. That might be the only thing they're missing right now. A way to get Psychic in the bin. They're going to grab another Jirachi. So it looks like they're digging for Viridian pretty hard. Or Acro Bike, I guess, is a pseudo out. Yeah, they found it. They can now Viridian, pitch a Psychic for a Psychic. Oh, they don't have Psychic in hand. Oh, but they got rid of Treasure, so they must have another Treasure in hand. Wow. Okay. Insane turns from them. They've seen all of the good stuff to be able to do this. Charge, charge, switch. Insane. Right, they're able to Shadow Impact. They're going to slap the damage on themselves, which is fine. Okay. Let's Pal Pad. Let's grab a fire. And we'll try and gear towards Welder. And we'll try and gear towards Welder. Alright, looks like we're customing for some cards, boys. Now, Welder is a pretty good out for us. But we already play a bunch of fires. And we also have Dedenne, so I guess we're doing this. You hate to see it. Alright, we'll just charge up and swing. Running a little on fumes. We do have a lot of fires prized though, don't forget. That could be the saving grace here. Nice, nice. I'm talking about Welder in a drawing sense right now. I think our best draw would be Pokémon Treasure or Turtle. That would be the best thing we could hope for, to make full use out of Welder. They're going to recycle Tina, do all their usual stuff. Money attach, Stellar Wish. They're in the loop, basically. They're able to wish for a Cynthia. Here come the spell tags as well, just to make matters worse. They're able to bike. They throw away the tag team. Not necessary this matchup for sure. Alright, Shadow Impact, taking a knockout. He's going to fling some damage onto his own face. And let's see what we can get off the draw, and then potentially Welder if we need even more draw. Poipole's not a bad draw at all. It's something that we can Welder onto. I think I'll just Welder 1, because I probably need Dragonag to get me out of this situation, rather than pitching either of these cards. Okay, not good. I'll do this. I guess I just grab another Poipole and then spit poison him for a turn. It gets us a little behind, for sure. But this way we set up the turning point, and then we have gear and ultra conversion to get us back into good shape. Alright, let's have a think about this. I don't really see a way for us to catch up on a prize race from this point, though. Like, Mally can just keep rinse and repeating most of the time from here on out. Let's grab a fire. Let's convert. Mew plays around Spell Tag, which is probably our best move here. I only have one more fire in the deck, so I probably can't Welder this turn. Oh, do I just Welder 1 to the Mew? I guess I do, yeah. That's not bad. I think I'm tossing the factory here. We don't have enough outs to get the most out of it, and I need more Poipole. We'll continue to charge up, because there's no reason not to. Alright, we can get a meaningless damage somewhere for free. At least we play around Spell Tag, that's something. It's a small victory. Protects a bunch of our energies and stuff. We get Pokémon, so we can actually Dedenne now, which is pretty good. We now have Turning Point as well, obviously. Actually, we'll be able to take a knockout. But he can literally rinse and repeat this. Now that Heatran's down, we have nothing that can tank. I don't see a way that we can win. So I should probably just concede here. The only thing is, could he run out of energies? No, he probably won't be able to run out of energies. Alright, we'll call it here. Because he can rinse and repeat pretty easily. And I don't see many ways for us to catch up. As mentioned in the first game, not a matchup we want to see. We want to have the big up trades. And you basically need Malamar to be slower than you to be able to win. And just try and single prize for single prize the entire time. But in this case, we went second. They didn't miss a beat. So, we just got to hand it over to him there. Let's have our final game with the deck. There has been a lot of Malamar on the ladder recently. I feel like it's kind of on an uptick. Obviously at Worlds it was super hyped, kind of flopped, and it's kind of low-key getting more play at Cups and stuff recently. I think because of Mewtwo hype, it's going to stay a relevant archetype for sure. It also is finding some ways to get around abilities art a bit better, be it them adding in customs to kill Ninetales, or just having like second Mew or Esper, even if you're playing gusting effects, just to knock out Ninetales quicker. Alright, very good start for us here. We've got a Dedenne, we've got Treasure for discards energy for Poipoles early. So it's like double Poipole, Dedenne change, we get an attachment in as well. Looking pretty good so far. Looks like we are up against a Mewtwo deck that's adding in a load of muck these days. They're actually having to Welder to their active, so they don't have the ideal start here. That said though, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Poison Absorption. It will get the job done against our active. They're also playing the Giratina for the Keldeo matchup. So it's kind of a new age Mewtwo. Some funky tech cards have started coming into this deck for the matchups that people are expecting to see. Muck gets around, you know, the what's it called, Psychic Charm that some Guardies are playing. I think the matchup's still weak for you, but it gets around a whole bunch of things as well. Alright, looks like the opponent's turn was pretty solid. I don't really want to get rid of Nagas carelessly, so I guess I'll be benching the Heatran here and con this one in instead. I'm pretty sure we can get the Ditto. Just, oh no, Mewtwo can play Wob. We don't want to get punished by that. Looks like that's all here. The customs are all here. We have 3 Welders. Okay. We'll do this. We'll do this. There's always an argument for going for like a backup turtle, but I feel like we're already trying to be like a high roll deck kind of thing. We should just do our best. I probably should have attached anywhere but there, actually, thinking about it now. We hit a Welder for potentially next turn. That's going to be that. Yeah, I should have attached elsewhere for sure. That's a bit of a throwaway. Let's have a think about this. Next turn, how much burst can I do? Not enough. We need to Welder this turn and next turn, which isn't possible. I mean, I could try and custom for like a card, but it's not worth the discards. Yeah, such a fool for throwing away energy. I just kind of was like, yeah, we might want to explosive jet turn 1, but there's no way that we would want to jet into this for like 150. We should have just saved it. Rookie mistake. If I'd saved that attachment, we could actually be response knocking out this muck as well. If I evolved into double charge ups. Alright, he's just going to attach and swing, which seems good. We have U-Turn Board. I'm going to stick it on Dedenne. Oh, now we get a fire. So we're trying to set up a knockout over 2 turns rather than this turn. So I probably should get Ultra Conversion on my side. Okay, we can Welder for full value. I think I'm going to weld it onto this, because it's the hardest thing for him to knock out. And I'll just be burning roading anyway. And this also opens up the door for Turtonator either way. We definitely want to get a manual attachment in as well. I think I got to throw away the Pokégear here so I can get a charge up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe not. Maybe passing active is the best move. We're not worried about severe poison or poison absorption. For 3 energies, he could do a knockout with Magcargo, I guess. But he's probably having to... Then we can just seriously punish that. Yeah, I guess I stay active here. I don't see a reason not to. Alright, so next turn we can get 2 more Nags online. Try and Pokégear for Welder. Custom if all else fails for draw. I might custom to start the turn after the treasure. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm treasuring our top deck next turn. Our opponent's able to attach a Psychic to the back. Doing 3 energy on our Naga as well makes him think that we're looking to snipe, which we're definitely, like... I mean, it doesn't... It sort of opens up that opportunity, which might make him play differently. Let's see what else he's got going. He might be... Oh, okay. That's really good for us. He's going to swing for 120 into us, which is good. It's a low impact turn. Okay. As promised, we'll throw away a card. Grab this. I think we just fail Pokégear no matter what, right? Yeah, we have enough fire draws to do it. And we have other Ultra Beast draws. I know this is an Ultra Beast guaranteed for conversion, but I don't think it's the right thing to do. Oh, that's worked out very well for us. Oh, wow. That's pretty much the stones. Do I want to do a Heatran knockout? Our opponent's been missing Welder for a couple turns. I guess that's probably the thing we should be doing. You can still Welder 2 here. That doesn't affect anything. We have a bike. Ooh, tough choice. I guess we've got to put the Welders back in. We have potential draw for next turn with Pokémon. So I think it should be fine. But here we're just in a pretty good spot. We're going to have charge ups for future energies. We've got an excess for sure of energy cards. Let's throw 6 over. Go for the big hot burn. This basically forces at least a Welder from the opponent. But even then, they're pretty far behind. Because we're basically a Welder away from game. Because we have effectively 3 energies on board. We have 1 and then 2 charge ups. And then we can Welder. If you can't knock out Heatran, we can just pay retreat. We pick up the crystal from prizes, so we can just pay retreat Welder. The opponent gets a Jirachi down. That was also important because we had Turning Point as an option. Opponent's customing for 1 by the looks of things. See a Distortion Door. Probably doesn't change much. Is he going to retreat into Distortion Door? I don't see a retreat working out so good for him, though. We'd just be gaining more hand and board advantage. 2 customs have gone, though, so it might be what he's considering right now. Okay, he's just going to Turbo Strike. I think it's, like, not a bad decision, even though he's, like, so super close to death. I don't think he can win if he doesn't make this kind of line. He might power up the Giratina, but he's already got 2 Psychics on the active, so, yeah. Alright, we got you. We have a big surplus of energy cards. Crystal coming in clutch. I'm not going to give him the BM. Thanks, bro. I do have a good deck. I try. Alrighty. Well, there is Turbo Turtles. Definitely on the less consistency side of things. But there's big win potential. You can represent boards that are super scary. I think we're obviously very scared of Reset Stamp with this deck. We are very Welder reliant. But you can also just present board states that are very intimidating for people. With that explosive jet and charging up synergy, it's very powerful. So let me know what you think about this kind of rogue deck. Obviously it's got that Welder thing backing it, so it can never be that bad, I guess. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video tomorrow. Cheers.